Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
So welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday and this is going out on Mintwave radio station. You can either ask Alexa or go to the website karenrobertscoaching.com/mintwave-radio. Listening live or see the schedule for the rest of the week. If you're listening or watching this via podcast, again, why not check out the rest of the podcasts on our network? Same website, karenrobertscoaching.com/podcast-network. And feel free to download the app for Apple or Android. Feel free to subscribe to any that take your fancy. Follow and feel free to leave a comment. Today's episode is 134. And today we have Martin Salama, and he is a life coach. I'll go into that acronym in a little while. And today we're going to be talking about the 7 secrets to an abundant mindset. My name is Karen Roberts. I'm your host. We provide a platform for coaches, consultants, therapists, and healers to get their message heard to the people who need it as owners of Mintwave Radio and the Raising Vibrations network on Podbean. So come and check out our directory to find the right fit for you. So Martin is known as the architect of the Warrior's Life Code. He specializes in helping people that are frustrated in their life and helps them quickly shift their mindset to uncover their greatness so that they can live their true potential and enjoy life. Now, the key to his success is that he's mastered the ability to live incredibly full every single day. And he's turned the acronym LIFE and created the Warriors Life Code coaching program. So welcome to the show, Martin. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much. How is everything in London today?
It's actually not as grey as it has been. There is some blue sky, so not so bad.
All right, well, good for that. I'm glad to hear that. We've got grey skies here in New York.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's not too dissimilar, is it? The weather. I know you get it colder than we do. We're wimps when it comes to cold weather. We can't cope with any extreme, right?
Right.
So could you share with the audience, first of all, a little bit about your story, about your background? How did you get to where you are today doing what you're doing now?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to a fantastic conversation with you. So let me go back to 2008. Okay. So my wife and I were working on a project for 5 years to build a multimillion-dollar health club and tennis center in New Jersey. And that started out because in about 2003, I'd closed the business. And my wife says, okay, you got to find something to do. You can't sit around the house, even though you have money coming in or whatever it is, residual income. You can't just sit around the house. I'm like, okay. She goes, I've been having trouble. I started playing tennis and I've been having trouble finding tennis court time. So I'm like, okay. She goes, I think we could maybe make some money by opening up tennis courts. So and now I realized I was a people pleaser. So if my wife told me to do something, I figured out how to try to make it happen for her. Now I consider myself a recovering people pleaser, which is part of my story. But I said, okay, we started looking. We hired a company to do a feasibility study. Is it worth it to do it? They said, yes, but it's not enough just to do tennis. You've got to do a lot more because the tennis won't make you enough money.
No. Not enough people per square meter.
Right, exactly. So you have to have other things like a health club and all these other things. So I was like, okay, we go find an architect, engineer, and go down this road, find the land and all this. And it takes us 5 years. And as we're going through this process, we figure out that we're going to build something that's over 100,000 square feet. I don't know how many meters that is, but it's about 100,000 square feet. And we're like, okay. And by now we're going in, we're finding architects, engineers, and we then have to go to the city and get approval, because they have to make sure it's a big building with parking and all that. So it takes us about 5 years to go through this process. And now if we had gotten it finished in 2006 or 2007, walk into the bank and said, okay, we've put in $3.5 million and now it's a $15 million project. Can you lend us the money? They would have handed it to us without blinking an eye. But it was 2008 that fate would have it. So we go into the bank. You're like, yeah, we're not lending right now. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, things are slowing down. A month later, September 2008, Bernie Madoff, the subprime loan, the rental, the real estate market falls apart. Overnight, I'm broke. Literally, overnight, I'm broke. It's like when you hear the stories about 1929 crash and people jumped out the windows. Thank God I didn't do that, but that's how bad it got. I mean, I stopped paying my mortgage. I stopped paying my car payments. And a couple months later, my son, Dad, something's going on outside. I look outside and my car is being towed away. It was being repossessed. That's how bad it got. And that never happened to me before. I was like, this is New Jersey. I was kind of depressed for a while going through this. And in New Jersey happened to be, there were so many foreclosures that they took them a long time to finally come to us and take our house away.
Oh, there was a bit of a backlog. So you had a bit of a breathing space, did you?
Well, that was a good thing, but eventually we did lose the house. So now it's about a year later and I go, I got to figure out what to do. I got to get out of this. I'm getting out of this depression that I've been in for the last year. I have no money. My family is controlling whatever finances I did have. Right. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I look back over my life and I realized the times I was happiest was when I was involved in community organizations as a leader. And as a leader, people would come in and I'd say, oh, great, I'm so excited to have you here. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure. And we talk and I would get the best out of them and they would find their potential even in the little hours they gave. And I realized that's what a life coach does. So I decided I'm going to become a life coach. So I look into it and I find the school I'm going to go to and it's a few months away. And it's my 24th wedding anniversary. It's about a year and a half after the crash. It's the day after Valentine's Day. And my wife tells me, I'm done. I want a divorce.
Oh.
Yeah, so, just keep piling on. God, when, you just keep giving me more crap.
You haven't had enough. There you go. Here's another thing to deal with.
Right, exactly. So, of course, I was upset. And deep down inside, I think a lot of it had to do with my own lack of self-worth and fear that I would never find anybody to love me again. And then, the other thing is I had 24 plus years invested in this marriage, in this relationship. And I was of that mindset, you got to figure things out and we had gone to therapists. None of that worked. So, okay, I knew it was coming, but until it really happened, it didn't really mean anything. So now I'm faced with going to life coach training. I go, you know what? I think this is the time. I got to figure this out. And I think God was sending me a message saying, okay, you're going to go to life coaching school? Well, let's make sure you get the most out of it.
Use it on yourself.
Right,
well, it's
exactly.
interesting that is how sometimes these things work, isn't it? You're being nudged.
Exactly. So I'm about to go and they send me a list of books to read. They say, read a couple of these books. And one of them was The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Did you ever read that book?
No.
Okay. So here's the 4 agreements. Everybody should read this book. Okay. And I'm going to read them quick. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best.
Great tips.
Yeah. That second one hit me like a bolt of lightning because all my life as a people pleaser, I would take everything personally because I'm trying to make everybody happy. And I would look for the attentions and the accolades and the recognition for the things I was doing. And when I wasn't getting it, I was like, what am I doing wrong? Oh my God, what can I do to make that person like me? And with that also came, I was a control freak and I had a short temper. So when I read that, I was prime. I was ready to hear it because I said, you know what? Bring it on. Let me figure out what's going on. Part of me was hoping that this would help me save my marriage, but a part of me knew that I needed to change who I was inside.
Right.
So I took that and I was like, wow. And I realized now he was giving me a secret that people in my life have been telling me forever, but I wasn't ready to hear it. It's that old thing. The student will appear when the master will appear when the student is ready.
Was just ready. Yeah.
And I think I was ready. Right. So I went into that coaching weekend that first coaching weekend, and they said, you don't have to be who you think you are. You're allowed to change. It's like, really? I don't have to be this way? And that's where I started to peel away the layers of the onion, as it were, to figure out who I was and who I really wanted to be.
It's so bizarre. Why is it that we seem to, it can take so long for us to get there? If this was taught back in schools, can you imagine what a world we would be living in? Because all that time trying to figure things out, and like you say, many, and I can relate as well, many people are people pleasers, and yes, I would take everything very personally, because you want to do your best, but again, it's all this whole persona, it's all up here in the ego part of the mind, but it's when we can finally accept it rather than defend it, because many people will defend that and deny it, be in denial.
Yes.
But isn't it amazing how things can change when we do actually just accept it, accept the isness of what is. It is what it is. Love that. I mean, some people really hate that word. It is what it is. But, that's part of the process. You need to accept where you're at.
Yeah,
you need to be honest with yourself of what's going on so that you can have the power to change.
Exactly right. And one of the things I realized is, as a people pleaser, you try to please everyone. You think that it's a job to make sure that everybody's happy. So you go around being this guy, this negotiator, this guy, and you rationalize that everything you're doing is for the greater good. But what I found out going through coaching and developing my own coaching program is that the word rationalize, see that, is really two words. Rationalize.
Great.
Okay? Now, I've just recently come out with a card deck.
Cool.
Called the Warrior to Warrior card deck. Okay. And in there is like tips from my course and so on and so forth. But one of them, I talk about the word rationalize. Right. And I go, whenever you think you may be doing something that goes against your values, you will rationalize all the reasons why it's okay. What you're really doing is lying to yourself that it's rational to think that. They are nothing more than rational lies. So let me give you an example. You woke up this morning and you go, I'm too tired to exercise. Are you really too tired? Or is it a rational lie that you want to tell yourself so that you don't do what you know you should be doing?
It's definitely a lie.
And then when you start exercising 10 minutes into it, you go, why did I think about not doing this?
Yeah.
But when you don't do it and you go on with your day, you're like, okay, so I don't. But so now I want to plant this with your audience. Now that you're aware of this, say to yourself, am I telling myself a rational lie? Right? So that was me. That was who I was. And it became a thing of like, okay, now I got to figure out how to move forward now that I'm learning all these things. And I'd love to say that I snapped my finger and that was it. I was the new me. It's not that simple.
If only, right? I always say, like, I wish it was like the Matrix and they could just you could be plugged in, download all the garbage and all the bad habit patterns and all of that, and just upload a new version and be done with it. But it's never going to happen. It takes practice, right?
Yeah. And I'm Neo. I could all of a sudden do things in the air.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right? Fantastic.
But we are, really. We do have more power than we realize.
We do. We have a lot more power than we realize. So I finished coaching training, which took me almost a year. And I really started that transformation during that time. And it continued. And I got out and I said, okay, what kind of coach do I want to be? Originally, I was a divorce recovery coach. Makes sense. I just got over a divorce. And I even wrote a book about it and all that. And I was doing that for a few years, but I was also working a dead-end job. And it was kind of like sucking the life out of me. And I allowed it to, as much as it was, I could have said, you know what, I'm only doing this because I need to, and I have greater goals, which I did. But I also let that rationalize start to come back into me a little bit.
Yeah, been there. Yeah, I can relate.
So now it's 2-3 years in, and one day I look in the mirror. I'm the heaviest I've ever been in my life. And I go, how the heck did I get here? And I look inside and I realize I allowed myself to do this. I can't say, oh, I couldn't eat better. Oh, and my friend who's on Facebook was saying, listen, I just found a program that I can exercise for 30 minutes a day. I'm like, okay, from home. You don't have to buy a gym membership. I was like, I could do that. I'm working. I leave at 7. I get home at 7. I can wake up a little earlier and work out and take a shower and get ready to go. So I did. And I allowed my friend to coach me and this video to coach me. And those first couple of weeks were killer because I couldn't get through the workout, even following the modified lady on the video. I was throwing up at times. I was like, oh my God, I can't make it. But I was determined because I had my why. I wanted my health back. I wanted to feel better and look better and all that. Honestly, I wanted to look better too. So, and 9 months, I lost 65 pounds.
Wow.
I don't know how many stones that is, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I can't work it out. That's a lot. 14 pound in a stone. Wow.
Wow. So there you go. I always wondered how many pounds there were in a stone. So now, along this way, I started eating better, reading better. And what I said to myself before was, I can't afford to be coached because I didn't have enough money. And I realized I couldn't afford not to be coached. It was an investment in me. So I found a way to get coached. I found a way to do all these things. And in that time frame of 9, 10 months, a year, I switched from self-conscious to self-aware. There's a big difference between the two.
Massive.
Yeah. Well, you know what I did? I made a card about that one too. Okay, I'll read it quick. Not the whole thing. Self-conscious comes from a place of negative energy, guilt, conflict, and doubt. Self-consciousness is more outward directed. It's being more concerned about what others are thinking of you and how the situation is going to affect you. You probably react to uncomfortable situations instead of respond. There's a little more, but you get the gist. Self-awareness comes from a place of positive energy, acceptance, contentment, self-assuredness. Self-awareness is more inward facing, and you have an accurate and realistic understanding of how you're responding to situations and how you feel about things.
Love that. And that's the thing, isn't it? We've got to go within, but everything is directed outward because of media, TV, celeb, and everybody trying to keep up with the Joneses. And actually, everything you want is in.
Yeah. So now I'm doing all these things. And one day I started even doing something that I'm ADHD. So could you imagine me meditating? An ADHD guy. Have I stopped for 1 second while I've been on this thing? I just keep going. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I'm just like always moving. So I was like, okay, I'll try this out. And I was like, every day I'd sit there. How do people get their minds slowed down? I was only 10 minutes guided and I couldn't rest. And one day I had this download of information that I loved my life and everything I was doing. And after my 10 minutes of meditation, I wrote for 2 hours. And out of that came the acronym for life, for live incredibly full every day.
Love that.
Because I wanted to show people how they could live incredibly full every day. And
so that came after a period of unthinking.
Yeah.
Isn't that it is. I call it so rather than even necessarily meditating as in lying down, and I might be totally conscious, aware, really ultra alert, but it's that quiet Karen, because I'm similar. I don't stop talking. So it's shut up, Karen, verbally, mentally. And funnily enough, that's when the ideas come. And like you say, that's when you can go to your computer and you're going to be more productive and get the job done rather than spending all day being busy and actually completing nothing.
Yes, absolutely. But, there's more to it. It didn't happen overnight, like we said before, but it's allowing yourself to go through that process, giving yourself permission to admit what was wrong and how to move forward from here to find what's right. Now, because of all these things that was going on, I had much more self-esteem, self-worth, and self-love, which I realized I never had. So I started dating. And when I go out on these dates, the women didn't even realize that because of my coach training, I was interviewing them about their values because I realized that my values and my ex-wife's values were never the same. And we were in a codependent relationship. right? Most people, they go, when they get divorced, they go, okay, it was all their fault. They'll get back into another relationship and they'll end up marrying the same person in
The
a different
same.
body.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why in America, 67% of second marriages fail.
Wow.
Yeah. Because nobody does the work on themselves. They think, oh, it's her.
Well, they've just taken themselves into the next relationship. So nothing changed.
Right. So now I'm dating and I'm, going out of, oh, this one it's not working, which is great, which is what's supposed to happen. And a couple of years into this, I get set up with a woman and we go out and she's checking all the boxes. We go out again. She keeps checking the boxes. And I realize that we're very much in sync. Is it perfect? No, but it's very, very good. So a month into it, I turned to her and I said, I got to tell you something. And I don't need to hear it from you, but I need to tell it to you. I'm falling in love with you because I love exactly who you are and you like who I am and you're not looking to change me. And 2 weeks later, she told me she loved me too. And 2 years later, we got married and we've been married for almost 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So now here's where the warrior comes in. Okay. So it's 2020. The world shuts down. Right. And we think it's going to be 2-3 weeks, March 2020. Okay, we got 3 weeks, we'll be inside. Now it's May and the world is still shut down. And one day my wife and I decide we're going to take her kids and we're going to go to the city, to New York City. Have you ever been to New York City?
I haven't. No.
So you know how the streets in London could be crazy at times?
Yeah.
Okay, multiply that by 10. Now you're in New York City. And imagine on a typical day, you drive down Fifth Avenue and you're lucky if you could make it from one traffic light to the next before it changes red. Okay, but now it's a Sunday. We drive to the city and we're able to drive straight down Fifth Avenue without missing a light.
Is it like you're in zombie land?
Exactly. There's 10 cars on the street, maybe.
Yeah.
And I look around.
Strange times.
It's really crazy. I'm like, what is everybody so worried about? I don't understand. I turn to my friend, I go, what is it? Or why are we not worried? And I realized the last 10, 12 years, going through the crash in 2008, my divorce, going through the whole weight loss, the whole weight gain loss, and all that, had given me the tools to be prepared for anything, even COVID. So I get onto Facebook in a live stream and I go, guys, I get it. I understand you're worried. I was there. Let me show you how to change. And let me show you how to go from being a worrier to a warrior.
Wee.
And why do I use the cards? Because I know my Brooklyn accent will screw it up.
Brilliant. Well, yeah. How do we say it? It's going to it might sound the opposite. Right. Warrior to warrior.
And that's where the warrior's life code was created. And to me, a warrior is somebody who's gone through the tough times and become stronger as a result of it. And they didn't worry about everything. And if they worried, they were more concerned and figure out how to get through it.
Right. Well, you're never going to find the answer if you're worrying.
That's right.
Different frequencies. You're not looking up to see the solution. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? It's obviously it's easier when we can step back and look at that, and when we're in it and unaware of this, maybe it's a lot more difficult. But that's where you come in.
That's right. And listen, I have to say, getting a coach back into my life made a huge difference because it was my accountability partner. They asked me the questions that I should have been asking myself. They let me figure the answers out. And if you can't afford it, figure out how to make an investment in yourself. And instead of saying I can't, say how can I?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the whole thing, isn't it? This is the whole conundrum. You know, I believe that we all need a coach. You know, we all need coaches. Doesn't matter what you're doing for different things, because, like you say, it can be the accountability and just nobody wants to do. You know, you're going to just everything is going to be a lot slower if you're going to try and do it by yourself. So time is money. Time is more precious than money because it's your time. Exactly. So why not get there quicker?
Exactly right. And your business, 6 figures and a beyond academy for coaches. So you have your secret sauce, you have your signature system. And it's important because for me, I love to use acronyms like LIFE. And what we're talking about now, the abundant warrior within you, 7 secrets to an abundant mindset. Right? Those are all part of my system. And the system helps people have that roadmap that they want, that they need to go further.
And that's what people need. That's what people want. And this is the thing. Every coach is doing different things. They're all serving different part of the society, solving different problems. And there is a coach for everyone to meet anybody where they are at that time. I've had a ton of different coaches that have all done completely different things, and they were all the right one for me then.
Right. Right now, I have 3 or 4 coaches or mentors in my life. At any time, that's what I have.
And that's it. That's why you're going to move faster. When people it's because it's an intangible, isn't it? It's an intangible. So not everybody perceives the value of it. But man, it's totally, if you want to get somewhere fast, get a coach. So talking about the 7 steps.
Right. So I took the word warrior and I made it an acronym for the 7 steps you need to have that abundant warrior mindset within you. Okay. So the first one is W, and I put it on a card.
Yeah, but it's great. That's, because we are visual creatures. And so using all the senses, not just watching a video about you explaining it or, reading it out of a book. So to have something that you can touch and colors and to see, that all makes so much more sense. It's going to go into your subconscious a lot quicker.
So exactly. And I made the cards for people who haven't taken my course so that they can get a little taste of what the course is about. And maybe they'll want to read the book, which goes a little deeper, and then go to the course or go straight to the course, whatever. And then for the people who have taken the course, they go, oh, today I'm not feeling so, my mind's not there. Well, what should I look up? Let me find the card that will help me put me back on the right track.
Beautiful.
Right? So W stands for seek wisdom. Always be learning. Don't stop reading books. Don't stop going to seminars or webinars or things or summits where you could learn, or podcasts. Right? The next A is 3 A's, and it's also part of my system. I call it the cycle of A's, which takes the law of attraction to another level.
Oh.
Right? So everybody knows the law of attraction. Oh, what you think will attract to you.
They misunderstand it. Yeah, exactly. They misunderstand it. If only it were that simple.
Right. So ask the universe for what you want. Act. Do the work. Be proactive in getting what you want. And then the third one is the most difficult, but it's practice and you can get there. And then you'll be in this cycle of A's, in that perpetual motion. It's attitude. Don't have a strong desire that gives off the thought of lack, or really have a detached emotion to the outcome.
Detached. And that, again, I think that is so difficult for some to totally take on, because I suppose and I get it, it's difficult. If you are in lack, it can feel like it's a difficult thing to do. Well, how can I be detached from the outcome? Because I really, really need this.
Right.
But
it's your limiting beliefs.
Pushing it away.
Right. It's your limiting beliefs. It's your assumptions. It's the gremlins inside of you. Yeah. Right. That keep you from getting what you want. The gremlin is the guy inside of you telling you you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So if you could put those things on the side and get into that mindset of, oh, I'm working on this thing, but this happened. Maybe it's God's way or the universe's way of saying you need to make a course correction. And don't be so emotional, because the more you have that want, the less you're going to get it. That's the mindset of lack. Oh, I want that what they have. Oh, I need it. Oh, you're not getting it.
And I suppose that's why the gratitude comes in, because gratitude is more saying that, well, I actually have it. I'm thankful for it now.
which is one
So
of the
yeah.
letters of my acronym. So the next one is realization. Be content with everything I have. I have everything. It's not, oh, I want more. I have everything. And I'm going to keep working for other things, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy what I have, which goes into the next one. Recognize gratitude. Be grateful for everything in your life. Right? Then imagination. Think big. Right? It's like Dr. Norman Vincent Peale said, shoot for the stars. You may get to the moon.
I always think I keep saying that's from Les Brown. Who said that? Let me write that down.
His name is
I'm quoting wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was Norman
Vincent
Peale. It was Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. But it's okay. Everybody steals from everybody in this business.
Yeah, I'm going, Les Brown said.
Great. Then next, optimism. Find positive things in everything around you. If you look at the world as being downtrodden and gray and sad and depressing, that's what you'll find. But if you look at the world as being beautiful, full of opportunities, that's what you get. And I learned this from an English woman who I love her. She wrote these books called Magic, Becoming Magic. Her name is Genevieve Davis. She said, the world is as you see it.
And isn't it just?
Exactly. And then last, be resilient. Resilient. Be flexible and have an open mind, which goes back to the attitude. If things aren't going the way they're supposed to because you think that's what they're supposed to, maybe it's the universe telling you to be resilient and pivot.
You've been there as well.
There you go.
I've had a few nudges. A few like almost physical nudges from the universe, definitely.
You see this sign up behind me? Can you read what this says?
I can't read that from here. My eyes aren't that good.
Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Now, of course, when I saw that, I had to buy it. Life, live incredibly full every day.
Perfect.
So, yeah,
and that is it, because we can get so caught up in things. And great tips. So who do you love to work with? Who's your ideal client? Who do you really sort of get joy from seeing the transformations?
Right. So on a first level, it's people who understand that they're in a situation where they need to change. They need to make changes. They have a mindset of lack and I can't and whatever. And they want to figure out how, somebody one time asked me, who is it? And I said, the people who think, is this all there is? And my answer to them is, yes, this is all there is. But it's the way you're looking at it. Okay? It's not about, is this all there is? No, it isn't. There's so much more out there. As long as you think that this is all there is, then that's all there is. But if you say, how can I take what's going on around me and make it work for me, or instead of against me, instead of saying, oh, what's happening? Why is this all happening to me? You can say, how can I make it happen for me? Or I recently heard somebody say, happen through me. Right. So those are the people. And you know what? I just came up with this one. I help worried entrepreneur become entrepreneur warriors.
Hey, there you go. There's a tagline.
How many entrepreneurs are not worried?
It's a really interesting time right now. There are, there's, I think, from what you were talking about earlier, the craziness of the last few years.
Yeah.
I think there's been so much change, and okay, we all know it was horrendous. However, I do feel that there are some good things that have come out of it, from the point of it has forced people to stop, breathe, be still, and maybe look back and think, actually, do I even want to go back to that job when it reopens? So there's been lots of reevaluation, I think, going on, so that I think many are more they have gone inwards and decided on a career change. Oh, this is not what I want. But there's still a lot of that scarcity mindset, because it's new to many. And of course, it's course it's nerve-wracking, and
It could be scary.
anything new, you got that, like you said, the gremlins in your head going, who do you think you are?
Yeah, the guy on your shoulder saying, "Oh, you think you're better than you? Let me put you down. Let me knock you off." Exactly.
Flick him off. Flick him off.
Down. Shut him down.
Yeah, shut him down.
Right.
But yeah, it all comes from. I mean, so I suppose I took a lot from Eckhart Tolle, so The Power of Now, and it was a book that I read 20 years ago. And again, there be the problem. Don't ever read these books once, because you'll never get it. I thought I'd got it. And then I bought it last year, probably about this time last year, and I had it on. I'm a cheat, Martin. I know I'm no longer take the time out to read a book. I use the tech, and I'm an audible.
You listen to him.
But I love it because his voice is so calming. He's just got such a wonderful calming way. So I would listen to it over, and that's where I say I'm practicing my unthinking.
Right.
Because it's funny that we live in such a doing world that, like you say, you're on the go. It's constant. But actually, if we can find a way to just stop for a moment, even if it is 10 minutes.
It's so true. It's so true. The founder of my coaching school, which is called IPEC, came out with this program called the Law of Being.
Okay.
Right? And one of the things he writes in it, which sticks with me forever, is don't just do something, stand there.
Don't just
do something, stand there. Instead of don't just stand there, do something.
Ooh. Like it. Because it is, isn't it? Let it be.
You're not a human doing, you're a human being.
There it is. But it's the trouble, isn't it, is that we have been conditioned through school to do. And in a workplace or more corporate setting, it's all about you've got to be doing. And then I suppose has come the feelings of guilt if you're not doing.
Right. And then if you're in the corporate world, you bring in the whole imposter syndrome.
Well, I've never been in the corporate world myself.
Neither have I, but my wife is, and I watch her every day, and she's a rock star, and they know it, but she doesn't know it.
It was never a world I ever wanted to be in. I come from the fitness arena, so when you're talking about,
weight loss and all that,
building a health club, we had a very small fitness studio in the Algarve for 8 years, and it was, you start thinking around, well, how can we maximize this this space that we've got to get, and things like badminton or tennis. No, it's only two people at a time.
To that whole thing I was talking about, the health club and all that. We
absolutely.
We ordered techno gym material. We had the top of the line, goods coming in.
Even that, we learned very quickly that our business, we had built that wrong because we had built it around us, because we were more about doing group classes. And so as much as we were doing what we loved, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't scalable.
Right.
And we could not leave it because we had built the whole business around us. Bad business model.
You were working the business instead of the business working for you.
Exactly. Absolutely. We just bought ourselves a full-time job. Actually, more so in the beginning because we were doing everything, even though we were passionate about what we do. And this is why, because it is, but the thing is, it's okay. It's not that I don't see it as we got it wrong. I enjoyed it. We bought a house on the back of it. We did okay. We achieved the goals that we set. And this is why it's okay to change your goals, because we got there and realized that actually, this isn't going to be going anywhere more. Yeah, exactly. So like you say, you've just got to, like you say with the dating, it's okay to go out, and you've got to find what it is the right fit for you.
Exactly.
Because sometimes the ideas that we have, and then we get there and we think, actually, I changed my mind. Actually, what I really, really want is this. But I suppose it's allowing
Wait a
people
minute.
to,
Are you a Spice Girl?
okay. Am I a Spice Girl?
What I really, really want.
Yeah. See, you got to be a Spice Girl. I'd rather not.
No, you're English. You could be a Spice Girl. I don't know.
No, please don't. But yeah, it's we've got to. I love it. You know what you say. It's you can have whatever you want, but you've got to decide.
And whatever you
And
want,
you
don't
don't. It doesn't
change.
matter if you get it wrong first
Right.
time.
And if you decide this is what I want, and along the way you realize this is not what I want, it's okay.
You can change.
Yeah.
We're evolving. I mean, God, dear. I mean, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. Even this came from lockdown. Me, from my own mental health and well-being, really. We started the show.
Right. And I got to tell you, my most productive time coming up with my course was during the lockdown, because I needed something to do other than when I was doing my coaching on Zooms. I now said, let me codify my coaching. Let me systematize it.
So you've gone in again and created this. So for you, what is it? So for the listeners, what is it that you offer? How do you work? Mm-hmm. And what specifically are you helping people achieve?
Absolutely. So I work a couple of different ways. Number one, I have my course completely online, so they can watch it as they want and do the homework, which is very important to do when they want. And then as they do it, they can move on to the next section and the next section. People want more, they can go to group coaching with me, do a module of my course, and then come and go through it and get deeper. And for people who want to go even deeper, then we add a one-on-one coaching. But before that, I came up, as a result of that, I should say, I came up with the cards and I came up with the book. And the idea is like I said earlier, it's for you to change, for you to understand that there needs to be change. And there are people who can help you get that change. And there are many coaches out there, and you have to find the one that resonates with you, right? There are times I've interviewed people who wanted to work with me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to work with you because you don't have the mindset of I'm willing to change or whatever. There just wasn't that click, which is okay. Or the people say, I don't want to work with you, Martin. We didn't hit it off. I'm like, okay, great. Here's the name of 2 other people. Maybe they'll hit it off with them.
Right. And that's
people say, I went to a coach. I hate it. I'm never doing it again. Well,
no.
It's like, I tasted this drink. I didn't like it, so I'm never drinking again.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. Okay. So you, and how long are the programs? How long is it? Do they work with you for a month, 3 months, a year?
About 6 months.
Okay.
6 months. And
awesome.
We go through it slowly and we come back and then we add deeper levels as we're going along. You know, for the ones who've gone through the program and they want more, I bring them in the law of being and we go through that. Because the law of being is great, but it's deep. And, you know, someone new going to look at it and go, oh, what? They get a little crazy by it.
But this is the thing. Do you feel that some people, it's almost like they want the change, or they say they want the change, whatever it is, whatever you're helping them, wherever you're helping them get to. But like you say, it's the change, and people seem to be resistant to change. It doesn't matter what the change is. Like you say, it could be something really simple, or like exercising for 30 minutes, not an hour, and taking loads of time out of your. But there seems to be resistance so much to change itself, no matter what that change is.
Absolutely. And that's the first cards of my deck. Okay. Admission, cleansing, and celebration. Admission. Admit the way you're living now is not working. Once you've made that declaration to yourself, you no longer have to look back and try to figure out what went wrong or how you can fix the past, because you can't. You can't fix the past. You admit that you're ready to move forward with your life, and you can begin the process of cleansing.
Brilliant. Because that starts from, like we said at the beginning.
Yeah. I was at a conference for a week, and I was talking about my cards in the first day or so, and this woman came up to me. She said, I just connected with what you were saying. Can I buy one of your card decks? I'm like, yeah, sure. I brought some with me and I had my QR code and she bought it. 2 days later, she came to me. She said, I'm on admission and I can't move yet because thank you for giving me the permission to look within myself and figure out what's not working. I'm like, fantastic.
Brilliant.
Stay on the card as long as you need to before you move forward.
There you go. So if anybody would like to purchase these cards, how do they do it?
I made it very simple. I'm a simple guy. So I came up with this thing called connectwithmartin.com. You go there, you can get a bunch of things. Number one, you can get my cards. You can get my book, which is also called The Warrior to Warrior. Okay, makes sense.
Hang on, how did you say that?
Right.
The warrior to warrior. I can't do the accent.
How about this? You got some people who like to have fun in your audience?
Oh, I should hope so.
Right? So what I did was I also have some free gifts. One of them came as a result of about a year ago. I was on a summit for parents. And the leader of the summit said, what can you give to me for the parents? So I said, well, I have the 7 steps of the warrior within. I could give that to them. But I did a Facebook about the 7 tips you must teach your children about having a warrior mindset, abundant mindset. So I said, okay. And I came up with a coloring book for the kids with the 7 steps of the warrior mindset and a little white paper for the parents to understand what they were getting. And the parents were coming back to me and said, I want a coloring book too.
There you go.
You can get one for
in a child.
Or you can get one for your kids and you can get one for your kids. It's up to you. If you don't have kids, just go there and get your own. And it's free.
Brilliant.
It's a free download.
Ah, brilliant. Brilliant. So can you repeat that website for any of the listeners? We'll have all your links below. If anybody's watching this, we've got all the links. But if anybody's just hearing this, what's the website again?
Connectwithmartin.com.
Nice and simple. There you go.
Simple. I'm a simple guy.
There you go. Take a step if you want change and you're ready for change and you're just going to stop the resistance to change. Go and get it done. Go and get it done. So what's next for Martin?
What's next for Martin? That's a good question. Well, for me, it's continuing getting my message out there. I want to touch millions. I want millions of people to go out there every day and say, I live incredibly full every day. And here's a little tip I want to give everybody. This is what I do every day. Every day, I set myself up a quota that I'm going to make at least one person laugh today. It could be in the supermarket. Maybe it's the cashier. And I say something and she laughs. And I turn to her and I go, thank you for letting me fill my quota today to let somebody laugh. They're like, what?
Oh, I love that.
And they're like, now they're taken. They go, oh, wow. And I laugh when I do it. I go, oh, thanks for filling my quota. What quota is that? I have to make somebody laugh every day.
That's a great habit to start. Right, so
that's my tip to everybody. Go out, say, I live incredibly full every day, and get one person to laugh. And then thank them for it. Because then they might want to pass it on.
There you go. Well, imagine how that would spread. There you go. Good stuff.
Maybe they'll spread like COVID. In a good way. In a good way. My goodness. I'm so glad we're hopefully done with that. I don't even know because I don't listen to any of the news. I switched off from that a few years ago. Got rid of every television in my house. Best thing I've ever done. Yeah, didn't want to listen to all the doom and gloom. I was absolutely done with it. I'm not living in fear. All right, good for you. Yes, it's the only way. But it is funny, like you said, you're talking about New York being like a ghost town when you've driven into the city. I can remember right at the beginning, I used to live in Italy and I was speaking to a friend in Milan and that's because they had it sort of all first. It's just like, it's just like zombie land. It's just like so bizarre not to have anybody on the streets. And of course, it was the same here. In Rome in January. And my stepson had the flu. Oh, and we're walking through customs and immigration going into the country. And my wife's like, look healthy. Oh, no.
Just crazy times. But hopefully we're all through that and that is done and we're back being able to travel, which is wonderful.
Right. Yeah. I just booked
so
a trip for April.
Oh, okay. Wow. Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, at one point we'll get to the States. I'm looking to become a bit more of a digital nomad.
All right.
So November, the goal is Mexico.
Nice.
I want to go to
That's
Mexico
not part of the
in
States,
November.
but all right.
Oh, yeah, it's not part of the States, but that's my next. Nia. There you go,
Cool.
Nia.
And when you come to New York, you got to let me know. We got to get together.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, never been. You got to go to New York at Christmas time, innit? You've got to go to. If you're going to go to New York, you've got to go at Christmas time. You know, when it's just so.
For the first time,
awesome.
I think you're right.
Yeah, just to say, well, it's the whole thing. That's our sort of, again, that's our view of New York, right? Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been fascinating talking to you. Love what you're doing.
Thank you.
You've really sort of you've taken on the life coaching, but you've owned it and that you've transformed it into some strategies that you've created. And it's lovely to see because like you say, everybody is doing different things. So I'm not a life coach, you know, we don't. And this is the thing, this title coach, what does it actually mean? It's like, there are so many, and this is what I found through having people like yourself on the show. It's like, you're all doing different things. You're all helping different people solve specific problems, and all different, and all with different tools in their toolbox. And this is why this has come about. You know, what we're doing is obviously completely different. We just want to provide a platform for coaches to get their message heard. Because
and to me, life is capital letters. Live incredibly full every day, coach. That's me. I'm a life.
There you go. So, and this isn't that what people want?
That's it.
You know, there's only one life that we know it. So you want to live it as full as possible. And I think especially, have you found a difference that, you know, post, I don't even want to say the word, but because of that has happened, have you seen a change in people's, like, they're a little bit more, yes, they don't want to waste because they've wasted, you know, we had our life wasted for us, didn't we? Out of our control. And so now, have you noticed a change in that people are actually ready to step out and live life to the full?
I have. It's you know what? It's them recognizing that they've been worrying about everything and then they need to figure out how to stop worrying. So that's where I come in.
Brilliant. So hopefully things are changing and people's they are coming to that realization that, maybe they need help to take them to that next level.
Exactly.
So awesome. Right. Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time. It's been fascinating talking to you. And you'll never guess, probably ADHD too.
Really?
I call it my superpower. It's not a hindrance. It's my superpower. So all good. So thank you for your time. To the rest of the listeners, when will I be back? I will be back on Thursday with a Coffee with Karen. So bye for now.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.